Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to the beta for Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. As today, we try not to keep the lady in waiting. That said, things have gotten a bit messier than I anticipated. Obviously, we stumbled a little on our way in, and I'm like 94% certain we're working for the bad guy right now, but, you know, these are just things that happen when you're a space adventurer. I'm sure we'll muddle our way through, get things sorted out before things go completely off the rails. Let's see what comes next.
Damn it. That wasn't so difficult.
Follow my lead.
Storage room, okay.
The whispers told me how.
Ripper auto pistol. That sounds promising. Let's get a better look at this thing. That's not terrible. Essentially, much higher damage potential in exchange for a slightly lower accuracy. We'll go ahead and toss that to red as a secondary. I suspect that was our main prize here, but let's see what else we've got. Assorted cargo, including delicious vat meal cakes. Ooh, carapace chest plate. That's actually not bad. I mean, if we hadn't already taken that talent to remove the onus from medium armor, that would be a good fit for Rhett. Yeah, I guess we'll give that to Adira. She's really our only lightly armored party member at the moment. Looking good, Adira. And yet more cargo. Though goodness knows I could use one of those wide awake patches. Though, given the setting, I'm sure they come with some pretty horrific side effects. Well, hello there. I'm sorry, am I interrupting something? The fact that the person is still alive is evidenced only by the barely audible groans. Oh. Good. We're done for. They'll kill us all. I cannot take this anymore. Uh-huh. Oh, a rough, bloody sketch. Why, thank you. You really shouldn't have. A crumpled sheet of paper with a tall woman and a dark-eyed monster. Drawn with fresh blood. Lovely. Uwe had his life docked, just like the rest of the lesser servants of House Orselio. Oh, no, okay. I think it means, like, not life, but it probably means, like, tongue or vocal cords. I do vaguely recall Cassia mentioning in the alpha that House Orselio had a habit of forcibly muting their lower-tier servants. And she reacted with confusion that we didn't do the same thing on our ship. Which does beg the question of why these other guys can still talk. For some reason, the archenemy's twisted influence has found a way into the station. Gosh, really? I can't imagine why. It seems like such a pleasant place. But, you know, it could be anything. Certainly not the horrific human experiments. Though, to be fair, I do think that human experimentation is really just kind of part and parcel of the Imperium. Also, on the subject of those self-destructively paranoid guards, we actually do have a big clue about who the traitor is in this transcript. I just kind of glossed over it last time around. Right here, it specifies that Master Fellick explicitly did not have security inspect the hangar after Lord Winterscale's latest visit, and then afterwards he immediately ordered them to cut ties with Rykad Minoris and Lord Winterscale, which to me certainly reads like Fellick was preparing for this coup, or assassination, or whatever it is he's trying to accomplish here. Not to mention, of course, we've had other little clues as well. That fleeing guard calling us the conspirators, the guys that Fellick executed praying to the Emperor right before they were killed, stuff like that. It definitely doesn't read as your standard cultist activity. They're treating us like we're the traitors. The Cogitator's vid screen is covered in cracks and stained with dried blood. The buttons, switches, and levers were ripped out of the control panel with exceptional cruelty and scattered around the sacred mechanism that now sparks and hisses in agony, still refusing to perish. Hang in there, noble machine. You can still serve your purpose yet. You turn a few of the remaining dials and pull the activation lever. The cracked vid screen of the sacred engine flickers. The cogitators inside emit creaks and groans, and the lumens oscillate at random. It takes a while, but eventually the machine spirits do grant you access to the cogitators' systems. The machine spirits hum restlessly in the sacred machine's womb, but soon project the required information to the vid screen. Fellick Orselio. Location, main entry hall. Status, alive. Theobald Orselio. Location, upper chambers. Status, alive. Calomira Orselio. Location, upper chambers. Status, deceased. Alexius Orselio. Location, lower level. Status, deceased. Rasmus Esteban Orselio. Location, unknown. Status, deceased. Interesting. The Child. Location, upper chambers. Biometric parameters, rapid heartbeat. High body temperature, stress level exceeds the permissible limit. Status, unknown error. Attention, calming treatments are advised. Attention, access to the upper chamber inaccessible. Error, control rod not found. If you lose the rod, contact one of the station wardens or the Navis Laboratorum custodian immediately. Examine the log. The archive data stored in the Cogitator's local data crypt is partially corrupted, but you still manage to access the residual logs for examination. View Vox Report number 12AH890. The Vox recording hisses for some time before you hear a voice. This is Officer A282. Do you copy? Several generators overheated on the lower levels. Chambers A through D are unpowered. The Tech Priest crew sent to investigate the problem is not responding. Requesting back... The officer's speech is interrupted by turbulent shouts, and the recording abruptly ends. Officer H123 speaking. 200 servants have perished due to explosive decompression of the living quarters. We've located traces of mechanical interference. The preliminary cause is officer sabotage. Crews 5, 6, and 9 are cut off from the main compartment. We have enough oxygen for 20 minutes. May the Emperor save our souls. Senior station officers, this is the captain speaking. We attempted to contact the Winterscale Scion for help, but something is jamming the signal. We never received a reply and cannot be sure it was even sent in the first place. Our rescue team is not coming. We are on our own, so remain vigilant. Anyone can be a traitor. You hear me? Anyone. If you're in doubt, shoot to kill. Ah, that would be the guy we just came across. And he did indeed shoot to kill. As did we. But yeah, jamming the signal to Rykad Minoris and the Winterscale Scion. That's definitely Felix' handiwork. The following vox recordings are too badly distorted to make out even a single word. You know, if the living quarters were depressurized, that does explain what happened to the one missing navigator. Incident log. Report X880, originator classified. Date classified. The servants close to the child have started butchering one another again. An order came from above to have their remains reprocessed. Report X886, originator classified. Date classified. The negotiations with the Winter Scales were a success. A new batch of servants will arrive in 10 moons. Escort them to the laboratory at once. It is imperative that we increase the new retainer's resistance to the child's powers. Report X891, originator classified. Date classified. Data expunged. Interesting. Okay, we're starting to put together a pretty coherent picture here. But let's see what else we can dig up. Docking logs. The log is almost completely corrupted, but you managed to recover the latest entry. Identity confirmed, Regent Aranto Orselio. Date of visit, classified. Reason for visit, classified. Date of departure, classified. Oh, well gosh, thanks, that was very useful. Security and life support? The yellow lumens above the control panel are ushered to life by the machine spirits, as a singular repeating message streams down the vid screen. Warning, damage in technical compartments A12, B3, D8, and H24 detected. Warning, living quarters L10, L16, L28 depressurized. Warning, unable to access the station's docking system. Warning, energy regulation system, unknown error. The station will transfer over to emergency power. Immediate evacuation of the facility is advised. Warning. Encrypted data. The machine spirits are buzzing restlessly in its metallic gut. Several red lumens light up above the vid screen. Required access level, security captain or above. Current access level, senior security officer. Basically a coin toss, but we've got to try. Yes. You easily bypass the restrictions imposed on the sacred machine. The tired spirits make the overloaded cogitator systems whir unhappily, but they then obediently retreat. Most of the encrypted data is wiped. You find traces of the purge protocol. Recovery is impossible, but a list of most recent commands, having been embedded in the machine spirit's consciousness, now flits across the screen in a single creeping line. Child delete picked flow, disable access code, annul station controls, delete activate shuttle self-destruct purge command log. Oh yeah, yes of course, I know it well. Exploring the archives for a while longer allows you to recover a surviving excerpt from a report by the captain of the guard that mentions the security system had recently been reconfigured without letting him know. His comment goes as follows. Only the keepers of the station have access to the life support system, but Master Theobald has been at the child's side, and so was I. Could it be that... And as if we didn't already have enough reason to suspect Phaleg. We could try calling for help, but I imagine that the signal's still jammed. But let's see. The system cannot carry out your command, despite the eager compliance of the machine spirits. One thing is certain, the problem does not lie in the cogitator's mechanisms. You don't say. Switch to the main chamber controls. The cogs within the sacred mechanism slowly start grinding, squealing, and clicking. The tired machine spirits grant you access to the control of the station, or at least the parts that still obey the cogitator. Open all doors. The cogitator's vid screen goes dark, as if the machine spirits had fled their mechanical casket. But your assumption is incorrect, as it fills with static just a few moments later. You can barely make out an inscription amidst the flow of rapidly changing symbols. Warning. Data corrupted. Processing. 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 Error. I suppose I could go look up binary, but, what's the worst that could happen if we just start clicking random strings of numbers, right? I mean, I really don't want to stop recording just to go look up binary. Okay, how about number 3? You push a few buttons on the control panel, but the machine spirits rebel and keep resetting your commands. According to the data, the compartment you are trying to open is depressurized. Oh, well, yes, let's keep that one closed, perhaps. Number 5? The cogitator takes a few moments to gather the data from the station's active systems. According to the report, this door has already been opened. Okay, number 4? The cogitator takes a few moments to gather the data from the station's active systems and produces the following message. The protocol is put into effect. The passage has been opened. Already been opened. Already been opened. There we go. Okay, so that's 2 doors that have now been opened for us. Main elevator controls. A few manipulations with the switches makes you realize the elevator to the upper chambers is blocked. Well, unblock it. Processing query. Confirmed. Well, good. I'm glad. Also, wasn't there supposed to be a lab in here? I could have sworn that's what Felix told us, right? A lab on the far side of the guard barracks? This certainly feels like guard barracks. Though I suppose it might be through another door we just opened. So I guess we'll backtrack. And see if there's anything new.
I won't tolerate weakness.
Oh, well, that's new. Warped Seer's Goggles. Plus willpower bonus to warp lore checks. Well, that is a perfect fit for Adira, especially considering that we just saddled her with warp lore. Yeah, okay, so obviously still a work in progress. There's no icon, no character model. But it does appear functional. It did bump our warp lore. So that was one door. What was the other one? Oh, was it the big door? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was closed when we came by this way before. Well, before we go that way, let's... Heresy has found its way into the walls of this esteemed house. It is a black day for Navis Nobilite. Right, thanks, Abelard. Anyway, let's go have a quick chat with Felix. See what he has to say about all this.
Nothing matters more.
Not much, apparently.
Stand in my way.
Nothing's impossible for this old officer.
Fair enough. I guess we have to play stupid until we get to the moment of his sudden but inevitable betrayal. So I guess the lab must be over this way, right? Unless we just completely missed some random side door.
Over.
Synthetic amniotic fluid pools across the floor. Barely discernible traces stretch to the side opposite the entrance.
Oh, I noticed something.
We've got some very suspect cargo. Heretical trophies and jewelry. Biogel, Blackwater, and unidentified acid. Blackwater was mentioned in one of the lab journals. That was the experiment the navigator regretted trying. Psi crystals. Oh, are they setting us up for a puzzle? Yeah, okay. Now all these random things we're finding are starting to make sense. I'm guessing we'll have to use the logs to sort of mix and match components. The caustic stench of the reagents is tearing at your nostrils, the broken glass crunching underfoot. Somebody wanted to destroy the laboratory. Or find something.
I'll lay claim to the stars.
Oh, goodness. Okay, yes, this is definitely a puzzle. Research Coats of Navis Laboratorum Custodian Fortunata Orselio, Part 12. I think they meant to say notes, but that's fine. We got the gist of it. More and more servants have recently been influenced by the Immaterium, and it has nothing to do with the child's more frequent tantrums. We have established the corrupted flesh of the mutated reacts to the crystals we purchased from the Winterscale dynasty in an unusual way. I strongly recommend grinding the reagent into dust or into fine crumbs to speed up the reaction. Do not use acid under any circumstances. Trust me, you will not like having to tend to the burns for the next dozen turns in a row. The situation calls for something more neutral. Oh, and one more thing. The Tech Priest blessed the data crypt H41k for the calculated number of chrono turns, which means it is no longer necessary to stay near the device as you are waiting for the reaction to start. Okay, so psi crystals do not use acid, but do use datacrypt H41k. The datacrypt H40ko failed over the course of our research. I should remind the Technomats to deliver this sacred mechanism into Magus Dioctius's capable hands. Right, so between this and the other notes, we might be able to narrow down a usable recipe. Psi crystals, H41ok. Those both seem to be positive identifiers. And then, I guess, via process of elimination, we should be able to figure out what else we need. Okay, so that's the data crypt we want. And then according to the other notes, we do not want to use Blackwater, but we do want to use Adamantium because they block negative psychic effects. So Psi crystals as a reagent, Adamantium, Navigator flesh, and then
A new challenge for me?
oh, and there's our Adamantium. Fantastic. We've also got more notes. Experimental section. The child's influence on the psycho-emotional state of various representatives of the Imperium. Access level Orselio T Prime. Experiment number H4545-1. Subgroup Lowborn, male. Test subjects exhibit signs of acute stress. The majority perished of blood loss within a day after being placed in the laboratory chamber due to the inability to halt the discharge of ocular secretions, tears, and the body's subsequent replacement of these secretions with the connective tissue of its internal environment. The individuals with the greatest resistance to the sacred child's resonance died several chrono rotations later, extensive wounds in the abdomen, presumably inflicted by a jagged piece of metal. Death was caused by strangulation with the subject's own intestines. The subject's final shouts exhibited concerns over abominable tentacles and void worms, hallucinations prescribed to their own internal organs. Experiment number H4545-2. Subgroup, lowborn female. The test subjects died within an hour of entering the laboratory adjacent to the child's chambers. Most had their tongues bitten off or their jaws badly dislocated. Some test subjects lacked the physical strength to separate it from the rest of the skull. Cause of death? Severe head injuries caused by impacting the walls or the floor. Experiment number H4545-3. Subgroup, a paralyzed patient who lost the ability to speak due to the shock caused by a manufacturing accident, male. The test subject noted a tingling sensation in the deteriorated tissue. During Regent Aranto Orselio's visit to the child, the test subject smiled and started humming, most likely trying to carry some plebeian tune, and then attempted to address the servant who brought him food. A lengthy conversation was prohibitive due to the servant's lack of a tongue. Interesting. Well, that one's markedly less horrifying than the others, but yeah, that jives with the other notes we found, the docking report about Aranto's visit. I believe he's the head of the Orselio family. Experiment number H4545-4, subgroup, a defective offspring of noble P. Orselio, pronounced unfit for studying the high art of navigation owing to the mutation of tissues required for installation of the obligatory augmentations that merge one's consciousness with the vessel. Additionally, she displays an overall feebleness of mind. Female. The test subjects mirrored the child's actions for 3 days. On the 4th day, the child became upset after hearing the news about the untimely demise of Amos Cantarelli, an officer of her personal guard. As a result, one of the test subjects peeled away several layers of tissue from her face and died from a resulting massive heart attack. The last surviving test subject was executed for attempting to contact the child. Oh, I guess that would be the one who, Well, gosh, I was kind of hoping that the mute guy would have gotten a happier ending, but I guess not.
Follow my lead.
Alright, what have you got for me? They all have just lost their minds. Please, don't kill me. Oh, thank goodness, you're just pleading for mercy. I thought you were going to have some new flavor of nightmare for me. I guess we put psi crystals in here? Oh no, that reduced them to crystal dust. Which is actually good, because yes, the notes told us we needed to grind those up for use as a reagent. Tissue. We want navigator flesh. They were doing experiments on navigators. And then catalyst, I guess biogel, because by process of elimination, that's the only one he didn't expressly tell us not to use. But wait, no, his other note said to use adamantium, right? So maybe the notes about the crystal were more a clue that we had to grind the adamantium for use as a reagent. I guess? The only other item we can grind is the meteor. And that was specifically called out as being useless for anything other than paint. And it exploded. So I'm gonna hazard a guess that that was not, in fact, the correct combination.
Victory awaits.
Fair enough. I was really just kind of playing it by ear. Hopefully that wasn't something important, since they only gave us one shot at it. Oh, okay, so we could still just build a new elevator rod. So what was the other thing for? We have like 7 pieces of equipment in this room.
I won't tolerate weakness.
And then just one separate machine for restoring the control rod. Huh. Okay, well, you know, I may dabble with that a little off screen, but I guess we're done here?
I'll lay claim to the stars.
We'll push on for now, but I may go back and putter with that off screen. I am curious what the deal with all that stuff is.
Compared to naval service, that was barely a challenge.
Alright, Phallic. Take 2.
It's about time.
Here we go. Exsellsior looks a little better. The matted hair is now neatly braided, the wounds are tightly bandaged, and there's a healthy blush under the scales on his cheeks. You dealt with the threats and powered the elevator. Well done. I trust you brought the activation rod as well? Remember, a second of hesitation may cost my mistress her life. Adira suddenly cocks her head and drives her nails deep into her shoulder. Then she starts mumbling. The crossroads. There are 2 paths, both stained with blood, both leading to the accursed eye. They all wear masks, so poor and flimsy. They fall at the slightest touch. One hiding a blind man. Another, a traitor. Is that so, Adira? Tell me more. What are these paths you speak of? I cannot say. One is paved with blind faith, the other with hatred and treachery. Both lead to tragedy. You simply have to decide what kind of tragedy you like the most. Oh, is that all? Well, I mean, given the phrasing here, it does sound like she's referring to our 2 keepers. Tell me this, Adira. Whom do you see behind these masks? My whispers are giggling nastily. They will not speak, the naughty little things. They say that tearing off the masks is your concern. Thank you, Adira. I think I understand. Adira nods tiredly and glances at Phallic from the corner of her eye. Yeah, he has to be the traitor. This station has enough problems without your sorcery, psyker. Phallic dismisses Adira with a derisive gesture and looks at you expectantly. Not so fast, Phallic. I have questions. And you think they are worth the life of my mistress? They very well may be. The notes and reports scattered about this station mention the child. Is this your mistress? You touched upon something that should not have been touched at all. The keeper folds his arms and shakes his head disapprovingly. The child is what the station servants call Mistress Cassia, for the commoners' dirty mouths must not sully her name. You see, not all servants should have their vocal apparatus organs docked. Some prove to be useful while still able to speak. And speaking of servants, they alone cannot be blamed for what occurred at this station. Many of the corpses I have discovered were of the unarmed or feeble. Did you really think mere servants could prepare a coup? The senior officers are just as guilty. Half of my guards butchered one another because they suspected treason. As for the real culprit, the coup was staged by those closest to the mistress. And yet, for some strange reason, the guards that we encountered felt that we were the traitors. Phallic gives an impassioned shrug. That's why they are insane. Will you really heed the ramblings of retainers who dared to raise their hands against the scions of a noble bloodline? And how precisely would such individuals be able to destroy shuttles, shut off the power, disable the security system? These are all things that required special access. Access only available to the keepers of this station. As I'm sure you are aware, there are 2 keepers of the station. Your guess is absolutely correct. Theobald Orselio, the demented old man obsessed with Lady Cassia and her power. And also the one to blame for the woes that have befallen Urak 5 and our noble line. Yes, I suppose that would be a convincing argument, if not for the fact that I also saw a security captain's report. Both keepers do have access to all those systems, and yet the captain claims that Theobald stayed at his side the entire time and could not possibly have initiated the self-destruct protocol. Which means he had done it before the report was filed. Or maybe after. Or... Velik's stern face twists up in disgust. You dare to suspect me of what happened? The one who has gone out of his way to preserve what little there is still left? Of all the nerve! Please, leave these slanderous accusations to yourself. Velik, enough. I listened to recordings of the station officer's private conversations. You were conveniently lenient with them when it came to certain security protocols prior to this incident. I was lenient, this is true, and in the end I paid a steep price. Just look at the ruin surrounding us. The mutineers have left almost nothing of my home. The keeper spits out the last few words with a particular bitterness. Oh, and now we can call him out directly. Okay, let's cut to the chase. Enough lies, Velik. I know it was you. Velik nods, tiredly. I guess it is time to remove the mask. Congratulations, you got me. But did you really expect me to be sincere this entire time? To welcome you with open arms, an ally of Tisiphone and her monster? The accursed child who has tormented the navigators of House Orselio for years? Do not make me laugh. You arrived to help her completely destroy our house, and I cannot let this happen. I'm sorry, Velik. What now? Tisiphone? Monsters? Velik, you are very mistaken. I came here to find a navigator, nothing more. Velik hesitates for quite a while. In this case, accept my sincere apology for the deception and my earlier behavior. I had no intention of making an enemy of a von Valancius heir, or destroying the station that has been my home for many years. They left me no choice. You cannot even imagine what monsters lurk in the upper chambers. A pox, a plague, a pestilence on our bloodline that seeks to destroy House Orselio from the inside. Yeah, this has all been a really wacky misunderstanding. And Theobald and his followers are just mindless fanatics serving this evil. Lady Cassia is the scion of a merciless tyrant, but it is not her relation to Tisiphone that is terrifying. She is a monster whose power drives servants insane in mere turns. The cursed child who can kill a navigator from the Orselio bloodline with a look. Only I managed to get close enough to her over the years to wriggle into favor, to lull the vigilance, and at long last rid my house of the curse. This is the truth. Uh-huh. Yes, of course. We've all been there. If I had a space dollar for every time that happened. Oh boy, all of these options are pretty extreme. I'm sorry, Velik. Given the levels of duplicity that I've been met with since I first arrived here, how do I know that you're not simply trying to mislead me again? I cannot change the past, and dare not hope you will ever trust me again. But I swear, my words and my apology are genuine. Which I suppose is what you'd say regardless, so that didn't really get us anywhere. Alright, well, I mean, Cassie is a major character, so we're obviously not going to kill her. I suppose we'll go with the closest thing we have to a compromise here? How about this? If your cursed child is such a blight upon your household, perhaps she could come with me. You do not understand. This is... Bellic stops mid-sentence, makes a brief pause, then nods to himself. You are correct. This may work. It certainly is possible. You are going to need this charm. Bellic hands you a precious stone without a frame of any kind. Its luminous surface remains cold to the touch, no matter how long you hold it in the palm of your hand. If you manage to press it against the monster's skin, whether by force or by guile, the baleful influence of her powers will recede. You will be able to take her and leave the station. Oh, good. Well, that's not super weird and creepy, but, thanks, I guess. Assuming it actually does what he says it does and doesn't just kill her or otherwise set us up for yet another trap. Gotta say, I really thought we were gonna end up fighting that guy. Instead, we once again somehow find ourselves working for him. Which I'm sure will turn out just fine. I clearly worry too much. It'll all work out. What's the worst that could happen? So what, we might lose some face? Which, yes, is very much a possibility, considering that we failed to make whatever it was back in the lab that was supposed to protect us from her mind-bending effects that cause you to peel off your face or strangle yourself with your own intestines. Boy, this really kind of went off the rails somewhere along the line, and I'm not sure exactly where. But I've got to say, I legitimately have no idea how this is going to end now. But I guess we'll find out next time. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Revenant, Alois, Dragon Matrix 7, Drakiith, Eerie B23, EgonAlter, Emile, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Kazorm, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Rowan Church, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.
Nothing matters more